This is why you need to remove all the plugs. You got to get that stuff out. So I took the that front main cap off and show you. Bearings are still in really good condition. So these are the main bearings. These are the main caps, and looks great. Definitely rebuildable. So I got one of the heads up on the workbench, taking it apart. I know you get tired of me saying this, but pretty bad. I had to get a hammer and screwdriver to get the keepers off of the top of this valve. I didn't want to come off, but the seats on the valves, from what I can tell, with trying to clean it up with my finger, look like they're in really good shape. I don't think there's going to be any problem reusing this stuff. But you have to keep them straight. You got to keep them in order, because I'm not replacing. I was hoping not to replace them, and the valve seats look really good, so I'm not going to replace them. But we got to keep them in order. Now we're still going to do the lapping, to seat them, get them to maybe seal better. So anyway, going to get the rest of these valves and springs out, and keepers. Keepers, you don't have to keep them, where they went. There's no problem with those. You can lay them over there in a pile. And I don't think the springs matter, or the little cups. The valves definitely matter. So I just going to keep it all right here. Try to keep it straight. And when we get around to cleaning these, the only way I know to do is to get me a can of parts cleaner, and one at a time brush them and clean them, so that I don't lose track of what went where. So get these taken apart, and we should be almost complete with the disassembly. The measurements I took in the beginning, earlier in the video, I was a little incomplete and haphazard about it, and I that stayed in my mind and worried me a little bit. And I wanted to make sure that I showed you guys really what you should do. And so I went back and I did it, and I wanted to show you guys what I got as far as measurements of the cylinders. So I've got the measurements as so you got a top longitudinal measurement, which is you're in your cylinder from front to back. Then you got a top transverse measurement, which would be from left to right. Then down in the bottom of the cylinder, and when I say top, you're going to have, well, usually have a little area right at the top of the cylinder that may have a ridge. That's your piston rings don't come all the way to the top of the cylinder, because your piston can only go to the top of the cylinder, and your first ring of the piston starts about yay far. And so that's where the wear in the cylinder is, where your rings ride. So towards the top of that, where the rings are riding, you take those measurements. Then at the bottom of the cylinder, where the rings are riding, you take the same measurements, longitudinal and transverse. So I did that for all the cylinders, and I came up with these. And so as far as out of round, the top measurements, it was anywhere from 0.002 to 0.005 out of round. So that means my longitudinal measurement differed from my transverse measurement by 0.02 to 0.005. And looking in the manual here, service manual, out of round, your maximum allowed is 0.005. So we are within that. And then you've got a taper. You know, maximum allowable is 0.020, which is a lot, really. So then you have some other things here, engine specifications, as far as you can only bore the things at 60 over if you're going to bore it. Stuff like that. Anyway, it gives you all kinds of information here. So going by this, we're still within our standard range as far as we'll be able to go back with standard rings. We can maintain our pistons. We can keep those and reuse those. We'll get standard rings because as far as out of round, we're within that. Now at the bottom of the cylinder, it's just slightly larger. It was anywhere from 0.04 to 0.05 at the bottom, but we're allowed 0.020. So we appear to be in great shape there. The main bearings, we were a little off there. So the main bearings I ordered, I was able to find a 0.002 under, you call it, on your main bearings and your rod bearings, because we're not trying to fit within inside a hole now. Now we're trying to squeeze that hole to get close to the crankshaft. So I was able to find bearings at a 0.002 under. I also was able to find rod bearings at a 0.002 under, which is what I was off from the what's allowed as far as the standard range. So I wanted to make sure you guys understood that that's how you're supposed to do it. Take all your measurements and make sure you have your shop manual for your engine, which gives you the ranges, what's allowed, what's not allowed. Looks like cherries. Engine's gonna be cherry scented. fully submerged yet?
No.
Let me know when the engine is underwater.
A little bit more. Whoa.
Well, we're waiting on the engine to boil and what have you. It's going to be a while because the water's still cold, so it's going to take a while to heat that up. Anyway, we did get our fuel pump kit in, and I apologize, I've already prematurely started actually I've already disassembled, but I will show you exactly what I did. Now, it's a good idea before you start taking this thing apart that you mark, you know, your flanges of your case, the top part, the middle part, and the lower part. I know for a fact that mine came out of the car like this. It was bolted to the engine. The output is straight out the front, and on the side is the input from the tank. So you'll have, on this particular one, you'll have 8 screws. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. This arm is held in the pump by a pin. Now, it's covered up, and I had to destroy it to get it off, but there's a little brass cap that goes over this hole here. Any videos you see on the internet, especially the people I bought this kit from, I watched their video on how to do it, and he just took a very small screwdriver and a pair of needle nose, and that cap just popped out for him. Well, mine wouldn't do that. This car had been sitting a while, apparently. It's 70 years old. I had to destroy it to get it out. And then you're supposed to turn this over, and the pin goes through this arm, and you can see the pin when it's in there. You can see it right there. Take a needle nose, pair of pliers, and you just kind of scooch it till it comes out the hole where your cap was. Well, my pin wasn't scooching nowhere. What I had to do was I had to drill into the other side and then drive the pin out. And even then, it was not wanting to come out. And then when I got it out, I saw why, because it was all corroded in there. So you'll have to get this pin out. And you may have to drill a hole in the other side, and you can eyeball it, and you can see on the casing there where the pin is. Drill out, put your really small screwdriver or tap or a punch, and drive it out. Once you get that out, this arm will pull out. All right, then you're ready to take 8 screws off of the bottom flange right here. Once you take those 8 screws out, here's your pump diaphragm right here. Of course, this one's totally gone. So you'll need to clean all this up. I don't know. I'm definitely gonna wire wheel it. I may do a little media blasting, make it look pretty again. All right. So then you're left with this, and I've already punched these valves out, but I'll tell you how it goes. So you're left with the bottom half here. You'll have 2 screws that hold the very bottom part on. You'll take them out, and you can separate your bottom half. The little valves stick through, and they're just friction fit in these little holes right here. Take you maybe a 1/8 inch punch or a flat blade screwdriver, and they're supposed to knock out pretty easy. Mine didn't, and I destroyed them getting them out. But what comes out is the metal part, a spring, and a seal. That's a valve. You have a metal part, a spring, and a seal. And the way it works is that spring, as your pump is pumping, this little valve's going up and down. This little gasket here is going up and down, sealing under suction and then releasing under pressure. And it's doing that right there all the time. So I kind of panicked when I destroyed one of the little metal parts. But there's 3 of them. There's 2, I think it's 2 is the input and one's output, or vice versa. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I forgot. Anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our kit that we got. Comes with all these cool pieces. They even sent us a new pen, but I don't think it's the correct one. It's not the correct one. We may have to reuse our original after we clean it up. Because in the middle of that pen, there's a little C-clip that snaps in place there. Don't really know why it's not going to go anywhere, but anyway. And I kind of panicked at first because I'm like, wait a minute. I don't see any of these. Well, that's what these are. These are their replacement for that. So this is their valve, their spring, then their sealing gasket. That's their design. So it's all replacement parts that we need. There's a little aluminum plug in there, and I'm not sure if that's supposed to fit. Probably supposed to go back in that hole right there. Yeah, I think it does. Anyway, that's for later. So we've got 3 valves. Now this kit is probably a kit that fits other carburetors. I'm sure they have a kit to fit several, that rather than just each one individual. But so we do have, it looks to be springs that look like the original springs. We also have these springs. So I don't know, I may go with the ones that kind of look like the original. Maybe we should do that. Anyway, what they recommend, by the way, the people I got this from, it's called Then and Now. www.then-now.com. The kit they sent me for this one, which the casting for this one is an MO 963, and that's on the side of the pump. Now, the flange of the pump is supposed to have another model number on it. This one does not. The only thing it has on the flange is a D-6, which he said is a date code. But with the casting number and with that D-6, and knowing it came from a 1955 Dodge with a 270, he was able to send me this kit. When you're shopping online for kits or whatever, one of the things I noticed was a lot of the kits look identical, but you gotta have 8 screws around the edge. Make sure your diaphragm has the same number, or it's not gonna work. So the next step that he recommended was, and I got a piece of ceramic tile here. I put my straight edge on it and it's flat. What he recommended was to, you know, put it on a little sandpaper and get your gasket surfaces back smooth. So I'm gonna get a little piece of sandpaper. Let's scrub on this. And one of the things to watch out for is when this comes clean, your sandpaper may not even be touching this little wall that goes across here. So let's get a piece of sandpaper and see what ours looks like. Okay, what I found was, I don't even know what grit this is. Anyway, it's just some old sanding discs I had. It's pretty rough, it's pretty coarse. So I'm gonna hit it on the coarse, and once I see that the sandpaper is hitting everything, I've got some 1500 here, then I'm gonna finish it off with that. So let's see what we got. Looks like it's hitting most everywhere. I'm gonna hit it just a little bit more because I've got a couple of spots here that still are dark. It's looking pretty good. And I'm not having any trouble with it hitting that wall right there. Okay, looking good. I'm gonna hit it with the 1500. That's just to kind of give it a nice slick finish. Oh yeah, looking really good. Turn it, twist it, change directions. All right, I think we're done with that piece. Lay that right here while we work on this piece. And let's see, for this piece we got really two surfaces we got to work on. This one, this one. That one looks pretty bad right there actually. And this pump was leaking really bad. When I bought the car, he sent me a brief video of the one time he had it running, and had it running briefly because the fuel pump looked like a yard sprinkler. It was spraying fuel everywhere. Most certainly it was coming out from here. So let's see what we can do with it. That's much better, but it needs just a little bit more. Looking pretty good. Still got a little bit more over here and over there. I'm gonna call that good. Because the your diaphragm and your I think this is called a pulsator, they're pretty thick, so they are pretty forgiving. And that one looks pretty good. Let's finish it off with 1500. Yeah, that's much way more better. Okay. I would like to kind of bead blast this, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna clean it best I can with the wire wheel, maybe a wire brush, you know, along some of the harder to reach areas. And there we're just gonna reassemble this thing. Well, I've cleaned this up a little bit. Hard hard to get down into the nooks and crevices on the wire wheel, but I didn't really want to go the trouble of the blasting because it's a lot of trouble to get it set up, and it's pretty nasty. And we will be doing some blasting on some other engine parts, but we'll have a lot of stuff lined up. We'll do them all at one time. So when it's installed on the engine, you'll basically see this top part, and basically that's pretty much about all you're going to see. But anyway, so let's get this smoothed out. All right, I'm gonna call that good enough. Good enough for who it's for. Nice, that's really nice. Okay. We did not get this surface. So I'm gonna get this surface, and then I'm gonna spray everything down with brake clean, get all this dust off of it. Okay, got this stuff cleaned off, sprayed off. I even hit this surface that bolts up to the engine. Let's go ahead and install our new valves. Take one of these. These look like my original springs, so I'm just going to use that. Take one of these, and we are going to put it on this one right here. And so it should be able to sit in there by itself, I think, maybe, sorta, not really. Now what he recommends is we tap these to where the end of this is sticking through the other side about 1/16 of an inch. So let me get something to tap with. And something to okay, see if we can do this without tearing something up. All right, so I got my little valve in there. It's not wanting to sit in there by itself, but I got a 1/4 inch extension, probably the shortest one I got. All right, it's starting to go in. I can feel it. It's not protruding out yet. And I'm sure this guy can do it by feel. It's almost flush with that outside surface. Now I need to go a little further. I'm sure he can do it by feel. I've never done this before, so I'm gonna check it a bunch of times. And I may end up breaking this piece of tile. No big deal. It's like about 1/16 to me. So now he also said that if it fits too loose, that once you get it to this point, you'll have to set it on something to where it bears, that this is bearing on something, and you take you a screwdriver or a really blunt punch and basically deform the part that's sticking out here to make it hold on. So, but ours did fine. So actually, spring's holding it in good and tight. Great. All right, now we got 2 more to do right here. Now we take our pulsator, I suppose as they called it. Now, this screen here, I'm not sure, because on the one he was doing, it didn't have a screen. But the screen was in right here over these two valves. And I'm just going to put it back because his video didn't say one way or the other, and I'm not sure why it's there, but we're going to put it back. Be delicate when you're taking this pump apart that you don't destroy the little screen, because it's not made out of a whole lot. Put it right back where it went. And then you know which way this goes at that point, because your screen sticks up and has to go in this little opening right there. So it should look just like that. All right, so we take this part. Remember, on my pump, I know that the outlet sticks straight out the front, and this one is over here on this side. So I'm gonna put that right there, and I'm gonna flip it over, and my holes are lined up, sort of. And now I'm gonna put those two screws back in there. As soon as I can find me a good strong flat blade screwdriver. Now these I'm going to tighten as tight as I can get them. All right, looks good to me. Now the tricky part is coming up. This is our new diaphragm, and of course it sits in here. And we're going to take our arm, and it came out like this. It's bolted to the engine like this, and this arm is in there so that where it's riding, the little shiny part is facing up. So if you'll stick it in there, it'll catch the top of that diaphragm. You see that diaphragm? See the head of it? That's what this notch right here is grabbing onto. So you push that in, engage it there. Now we're ready to put the bottom part on, which goes just like this. My outlet is straight out front. My inlet is over on this side. So, but here's the tricky thing. You can go ahead and get your screws started, but you can't tighten them down without first operating your pump. You can get them started loose, and then we'll probably have to put it in the vise to do this, but you have to operate this lever in this position, then tighten your screws. Otherwise, you're not going to get any pumping action when it's pumping, because you've tightened your diaphragm, you've tightened it when it's just flat, and you're not going to get much movement. So you operate it, tighten your screws, and then when you let go, now it's got the flexibility to actually move and pump when your engine's running. All right, so we're going to get these started, then we're going to move to the vise. I would get two started on the opposite sides. Make your life just a wee bit easier. Don't tighten them yet though. Leave them pretty loose. Yeah, that new gasket, that lower gasket is kind of in the way. It'd be all right. No, I didn't clean the screws. They're going to be on the bottom side anyway, so I'll get that a little too tight. Okay. Got one nice shiny new one. All right, so let's move over to the vise. And I need to go ahead and put my pin in. All right, I've kind of burnished this on the wire wheel. See if we can't get it back in here. Okay, put it in about as far as it'll go. And yeah, that's a strong punt. Wow. All right. I think I'm going to take this and I'm going to make me one. I'm going to cut this down and get it shorter so I can get it in there. All right, I got one. I got him cut down. I still don't know if he's going to work or not, but we're going to try it and see. Hi, Georgie. I believe he's in there. Oh, yeah, he's in there. Yeah. In like Flynn. It's not pretty, but so we got this little area here that I drilled, and I think we'll put a little dab of silicone in there. Because it's not, the pin's not coming out. I just don't want any water or I don't want any water getting in there. Wipe off a little of the ugly. All right. Well, friends, all we got to do now is tighten these screws, and we're going to do that on the vise. I'm just going to run my vise up and get it snug. Don't crush anything. And to make it easier to operate, this lever, I'm going to put a little vice grip on it. Okay, I'm going to make sure all my screws are loose first, like really loose. All right, now you can let it go. And I'm just going to go around one more time. Make sure we got all these good and tight. All right. Well, folks, that's it. We've rebuilt our original pump, which is awesome. $55 including shipping and handling for the kit. Now this kit he sent me was their CK-110, and it's what exactly what we needed for this one. The little pin was the wrong one, and I had to grind down that cap, if that's even what that was for. But on this particular pump, that didn't have any other use. But yeah, I got one nice shiny new screw, which is just no, it's not any longer than the others. It's just shiny and new. It's all right. I lost the other one. Anyway, rebuilt fuel pump. Just took it out of the homemade hot tank, and it did extremely well. Still pressure washing, but I mean, it came clean. It's not shining like a new block, but and I'm still doing a little pressure washing, but dude, it come clean. When I first took it out of the barrel, it was all kind of still clinging to it, and I thought, uh-oh, we didn't do very good. But as soon as I started washing it off, it was just coming right off, and it's all on the ground there. And so I did go through, I think, about 3 bottles. A buddy of mine, Tim, brought me this apparatus. Probably uses this for brush burning or whatever, but that just shoots out a flame. So we had that prop there on the side. I had my my cooker burner underneath the bottom of the barrel. We had them going at the same time, and she got to where it was a pretty good rolling boil. And like I say, I went through 2 or 3 tanks on mine. Went through 1 tank on that, and I left my burner under there for about 2 days, and then when he brought his, I left them both on overnight last night. But by the time I got out here this morning, they were both empty. The water was still a little bit of steam coming off the water, but and there still is right now. But water was extremely filthy, and I wasn't sure how good it was going to do on our engine. But like I say, I'm still pressure washing. There's I guess just a casting right there. But we'll hit that up in there and Very, very pleased. So that works. 2 bottles of Zip, about 3 propane tanks, maybe 4, I don't know. And you say, well, you could take it to the machine shop for 80 bucks, and you spent 80 bucks on the propane plus all the trouble. Yeah, but I don't have to drop it off at the machine shop and wait till they can get to it. I work a full-time job, so being able just to do it here at the shop, being in control of my own schedule, is worth it. But yeah, that works. So I got my rocker rails still in here. I got to get them out, hit them with the pressure washer, and then I'll spray them down with some WD-40. I probably need to take them apart, you know, take the ends off of them rails and slide all that stuff off and clean it. Probably will, but for right now I'm just going to leave them in there. Got it in the shop, did a little wire wheeling on the surfaces, and man, it looks pretty good. Still gotta get in some of these tight spaces here. I'll have to get a small wire brush to get down in there, but got a wire wheel I put on my grinder, and I don't even know where I got that. The wire is pretty soft. It's not like just real coarse, not real hard, and it makes great for pretty much getting in all the surfaces, even your gasket surfaces. I mean, it just slicks those up really well. So yeah, it's coming pretty good. Get some of this right here. Now we will be, you know, we're going to be doing some more cleaning, so there is a little bit of residue, but we'll get some really hot water and some soap, and we get it outside and we scrub it down really good. Probably have to wire wheel it again. Yeah, there's a little bit of surface rust in the cylinders. I am waiting to do that till one of the last things before we do the cleaning, because we're going to hone those, and if we hone them now, they're just gonna be flash rusting again, and we'll have to do it all over again, and I don't want to remove any more material than I have to. So yeah, it's looking good. It's looking good. Well, one thing about trying to rebuild these old engines is there's an awful lot of cleaning involved. And this is the rocker arm assembly for the passenger side that I've taken apart. And taking it apart was not easy, because these you got one on each end, and then you got 3 in the middle that actually bolts go through and hold it to the head. This is your actual rail or shaft. Excuse me, I believe it's a shaft. These were frozen on with gunk, I don't know what, but I had to heat them up to the point of, it sounded like a pound of bacon frying to get them off. Wasn't easy at all, and it's a good thing I did, because these rocker arms, you know, they have oil passages. It's where the push rod goes. Oil goes, it actually goes in this hole inside here to lubricate your top of your push rod. Oil also goes through a passage here, comes out here. These have oil passages through them. Every one of them was clogged up solid. And when I say solid, like I bent this wire all up trying to dig out some of it, or most of it. Every single oil passage was plugged tight with baked on, dried on, years old gunk. So it's a good thing I took this apart. So I got all the oil passages cleaned out of the rocker arms. These do not appear to have any oil passages in them. But the shaft does. And I'm not 100% through with the cleaning, but there's more right there that I missed. But it has little holes here, and then on the bottom side it's got more holes. Oil comes into the shaft, and then it comes out these little holes to help oil everything. And see, they still need a great deal of cleaning. So it's all, this shaft was full of just what looked like mud, probably was mud. So it still has a lot of cleaning left to be done to it. But you know, you can't find these. I did a quick search on the internet, just curious. You can find the double railed rocker assemblies. You know, some of these had on one head you had 2 rails. You can find those, and they're extremely expensive, but I couldn't find the single rail assembly. But so I wanted to show you what was involved in starting to take one of these apart. So the other one I haven't messed with yet, and I'm just going to show you. We'll take off one of the end caps on it here, and I'll just show you what's involved in that. So you'll definitely need a bench vise. If you don't have one, you really need to invest in one. When putting it in the vise, what I want to do is I want to clamp down on this one here. Don't clamp on your rockers at all. None of your rocker arms need to be clamped on. But I'm gonna clamp on this. I don't know. I'm gonna call it a pedestal. I don't know what else to call it. Anyway, we'll clamp that there. Now, you're supposed to be able just to twist and pull that off. It's not going to just twist and pull off. So what I've got a pipe wrench, got a pair of adjustable pliers. So first step is to put some heat to it. What you're trying to do is you're trying to expand the part that you're wanting to take off. You're trying to expand it away from the shaft you're wanting to take it off of. That's why you want to concentrate the heat on the parts you want to take off. You know, once you hear it sizzling and screaming and popping, let's just see if we've got it loose. Barely loose. But it did move. Very good sign. But she ain't there yet. More heat. The more popping and sizzling you hear, the better. Okay, she may be getting ready to come on off. Now you want to get it off before it cools down, because if it cools down now, it's gonna be tight again. It's loose now because we've got it so hot. Once I get it close to the end, don't grab it. Just get your adjustable pliers, and now that's hot. So let's lay it somewhere and let it sit for a little bit. But that's what it's going to take. Now, do like I do here. When I pulled up a piece off, I set it right there. And then I lined it up. As I took a piece off, line it up. That way, when you go to put it back together, you don't have to sit and wonder and go back and rewind your video to see what piece went where. Just line it up on your bench. And we're cooking engine parts again. I got the heads in there right now. As you can see, the water's still clear, but got our two torts set up again, one under the bottom, one on the side. She'll start boiling in a minute. But while we're waiting on that, let's see what else we can get into. So I know this is a lot of trouble, all the cleaning and stuff, but if we had not pulled that engine and disassembled, it would have destroyed itself in short order because of just the horrendous condition it was in, as far as the amount of sludge inside the engine had everything clogged up. The rocker arm rail for the passenger side, I have tried my absolute best to get the inside of this thing cleaned up, and I was trying not to do what I'm gonna have to do. It's not that bad. There's a freeze plug, I guess you call it, expansion plug, anyway, in the end of that shaft down in there. It's a standard 5/8 plug. You have to drill your hole in that one, say a 1/4 inch hole, and then take a 1/4 inch rod longer than the shaft to run down in there and knock this one out. Once you get this one out, run your 1/4 inch rod through this end and knock the other one out that you drilled the hole in. That way we can get a brush and run all the way up and down through this thing, because I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but look at the inside. I've spent about 4 cans of brake clean, and every time I hit it with the air hose, more crud starts coming out. So I've ordered some of those little plugs. So we'll get this cleaned up, because the last thing we want is to install this thing, some debris that's left, stop up the oil passages. We burn up all this stuff if it's not burned up already, but we're going to reuse it. We'll take some real fine sandpaper and we'll go around the inside of this to try and, freshen it up a little bit. So I drilled a hole in one of the plugs and was able to get this brass rod through there and knock the other end out. So then I flipped it over and tried to use the same brass rod to knock this out, but the problem I was having was every time I'd hit it, it wouldn't stay on the edge. It'd roll over into the hole and just come out. Anyway, I ended up getting a 2-foot piece of 1/2-inch threaded rod at the building supply. Your interior diameter of this is 5/8. I wanted to get a 9/16, but they didn't have that. They had the 1/2-inch, which is a 1/8 inch smaller than this. That was enough to get this out. So now I'm gonna take this out to our hot tank where the heads are boiling, and this came from my gun cleaning kit, and so it has donated itself to my shop now. It's this brush is for the shotgun barrel cleaning, and it's going to work great to run up and down through this shaft right here because there's some seriously caked up stuff in there. So I'm going to take this out to the hot tank. I'm going to hold the shaft with a pair of pliers while I run this up and down through it. Going to hold it about halfway or 3/4 of the way down into the water. Run this up and down through it until I feel like it's pretty clean. And that won't be the final cleaning, but it will get the biggest part of this gunk out, hopefully. Okay, so I have these parts as clean as I can possibly get them. All the oil passages are clean. This thing is very clean on the inside and outside. The brush for the shotgun out of the gun cleaning kit worked great. Came out really, really clean. So I put the vice grips. Take your vice grips and grip onto one of the places where these pedestals sits. That's not likely to be damaged since this doesn't actually spin on it. So put your vice grips, grab onto this spot. Now that water out there is boiling. So I held it down in the water for a minute, and then I took it out and I ran my brush through it, and you wouldn't believe what came out. Anyway, you'd probably believe it, but ran it through there 10 or 12 times. Between each time, I was holding it down in the water, rinsing my brush out. So there was nothing else coming out. Brought it inside, rinsed it with the brake clean, wiped it down, blew it off with the air hose. It's as clean as I can possibly get it. So all of these, your rockers and your little pedestals, as I call them, I just put it on the wire wheel of the bench grinder here and just cleaned outside best I could. And then take, this is, what is this? 180 grit sandpaper. Tear you off a little piece like that. Roll it up so it fits inside of here. And then lay your finger in it and rub this way, flip it over, rub this way, rub it back and forth, whatever. Really get that cleaned out because there's a film of gunk on the inside of all these. So make sure you do that. Now we'll see how easily this thing goes back together. So this is towards the bottom. So let's just start with this one, which will be this one, which will go right here. Should go on a whole lot better than it came off. And it does. Okay. This comes next. One of these. One of these. The springs go between the rocker arms. If you haven't noticed, there's no springs between the rocker arm and the pedestal that I'm calling it. And I've also found that if you just kind of talk to it nice and don't try to force it, it'll go right on. If you try to manhandle it, for some reason, it will not. This should be right here. So your holes with, you know, the shiny part with the holes that are in the grooves goes towards the bottom. Okay. And last but not least, and I'll probably put something in there. Too big. There we go. Put this in here. Uh-oh. Dirty screwdriver. All right, we have this one. Have this one put back together. Come on, now sit down there and be nice. Now, the more you look at this thing, you'll start noticing a few things that'll help you when you're putting it back together. Long arm to the front, long arm to the back, long arm to the front, long arm to the back, long arm to the front, and so on. And if you think you may or may not have it right, you can pick it up and put it on top of the cylinder head. The long part of your arm is what's going to ride on top of your valve stem. This part, the short part, if you pick it up and look, it's got the little cupped end. It's what the other end of your push rod goes into. So it's not as difficult as it might seem, or it might not even seem difficult at all. But in order to keep it straight in your head, make sure your rocker arms move freely. These do. Perfect. So, my caps should be in a couple days. We'll tap those in the end, and we will. We'll probably need to spray this down with some WD-40 because I don't want any surface rusting to occur before we get ready to put it back into the engine. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take it out there and do that right now. I'm just going to spray the whole thing down with WD-40. Find a nice place to sit it out of the way and start to work on the other one. Okay, I cheated a little bit. I spent, I don't know, a good deal of time this morning with wire brushes on the drill, trying to clean these heads up, and there's just too many areas where I could not get my brush to clean. So I broke out the spot blaster and got it really good and clean, and then I just spritzed it with a light coat of high temperature primer on the exposed surfaces, or what's going to be exposed when we get through assembling it. Got a little paint, on the inside, ain't gonna hurt anything. Got some paint on the gasket surfaces. We will clean that off before assembly. There's no harm in spot blasting your stuff. Just be very mindful. When we do give it the hot soapy water bath, you'll have to pay special attention and make sure that all of your passages, all of those holes, you'll have to make sure you run out with your brushes, your cleaning brushes, and then flush. Looks like a booger. Then flush it generously with the water. Do that a couple times because you don't want. That's the blasting media there. It's very abrasive, so of course it is. But anyway, when we do the hot bath or the soapy water bath with the brushes, we will make sure it's definitely clean, and then flush it with water, and then flush it with more water. And then the surface you lay it on to assemble, make sure it's totally clean. But anyway, I really needed to do that to get into all the areas that I couldn't get with the brush, to get it clean. Anyway, a little bit of progress.
You gonna trip over that cord?
Yeah. Well, we know it's coming. All better is with this wind. Alright, I'm gonna crank this up and pressure wash a little bit, so stuff will be flying. You might not want to get too close. So a little speck of grease will fly over on your Santa Claus shirt. Well, we're not restoring to show quality, but this is primer. Just I'm gonna paint it black. The engine compartment's gonna be painted black, so just primed, you know, things. Gonna give it a nice coat of black. Haven't started on the brakes yet, so that master cylinder will go away. It'll end up new brakes. But anyway, I'm about to take the heater box off, check the heater core out and the heater valve. They look a little sketchy, so radiator's got to go to the radiator shop anyway. We'll take the heater core with us. They can test it, pressure test it. If any leaks or whatever, they can solder those. Yeah, the battery box is rotten. We'll just get a car tag or something and zip it in there, because unobtainium is the name of this car. No, actually the name is Hazel, but she's made out of unobtainium. You can't get this stuff. All right, we can put a little black on it. You know, this is the first time I've used Rust-Oleum's turbo spray system. 4 times faster for large projects. If you're not careful, you will spray. And when I say everything, I mean everything. It comes out fast. It comes out wide. And yeah. Anyway, it made quick work out of it. A couple areas I didn't really intend on painting, but I mean, for this project, it's not a big deal. It's no big deal. But yeah, quick, fast, and a lot. And it doesn't take long to spray the whole can right there, but it didn't take about 5 minutes. Yeah, I got some serious runs, but like I said, on this project, it doesn't matter.